Jake Morrison stood in the middle of the massive alien ship and tried not to show his fear. The room was bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. Strange lights moved across the walls like living things. 7 different types of aliens sat in tall chairs around him, looking down like judges about to give a death sentence. The air smelled wrong, was too clean, too cold. Jake could hear his own heartbeat in the silence. Behind him, Captain Lisa Brooks shifted her weight from one foot to the other. She was nervous too, even though she was Earth's best diplomat. The alien in the center chair spoke first. Its voice came from a machine, since it could not speak human language. The creature looked like it was made of blue crystal, with light moving through its body like blood. "Key, I'm Kethfer of the Zephyrian Empire," the machine voice said. "We represent the Galactic Council. You humans will listen now." Jake had read the files about these aliens. The Zephyrians controlled 12 star systems. They had been space travelers for over 2,000 years. Their ships could destroy planets. But standing here, Jake noticed something odd. Caver kept looking at a small screen near his hand, like he was reading from notes. "He, Kes, been watched for 50% of your years," Kethfer continued. "We have seen your wars. We have seen your pollution. We have seen your violence. You are not ready to join civilized space." Another alien stood up. This one was tall and thin, with too many arms and eyes that glowed red. The machine translated its clicking sounds into words. "I am Veltar, Supermarch of the Hegemony. Your species is dangerous. You fight each other. You destroy your own planet. You cannot be trusted with space travel." Jake wanted to argue, but Lisa had made him promise to stay quiet unless she asked him to speak. She stepped forward and smiled, even though Jake could see her hands shaking. "We appreciate you taking the time to meet with us," Lisa said in her calm diplomat voice. "Earth would like to discuss joining the galactic community as equals." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. The machine did not translate these sounds. "Equals." Veltar's red eyes got brighter. "Look at this." The air in front of them changed into pictures. Jake saw human cities burning, saw wars from Earth's history, saw garbage floating in the oceans. He saw people fighting and dying. "This is what your species does," Veltar said. "War, destruction, chaos. We have brought peace to 47 worlds. We will bring peace to yours." The pictures changed. Now, Jake saw alien cities that all looked the same. It's clean, white buildings, quiet streets, people walking in straight lines, everyone wearing the same clothes. It looked peaceful, but something about it made Jake's skin crawl. "These worlds are happy now," Kethfer said. "No war, no conflict, no confusion. Order, peace, progress." Jake studied the pictures more carefully. The people in the alien cities moved like robots. Their faces showed no emotion. Children walked beside adults without playing or laughing. It was not peace, Jake realized. It was death of the spirit. A third alien spoke. This one looked like a giant insect with too many legs. Its voice was like metal scraping metal. "I am Coordinator Dex of the Vorthok Empire. We have studied your species. You are unpredictable, chaotic. This makes you dangerous to galactic stability." "Dangerous how?" Lisa asked. "You do not follow proper patterns," Dex replied. "When the Kellner species joined us, they submitted their military plans for review. Standard protocol, logical. When the Dravik joined us, they provided complete technological databases, expected behavior. Rationale." The insect alien paused, and its many eyes focused on Jake and Lisa. "But humans do unexpected things. Your military tactics make no sense. Your scientists try impossible experiments. Your artists create meaningless works. This chaos cannot be allowed to spread." Jake bit his tongue to keep from speaking. These aliens were afraid of humans, but not because humans were strong. They were afraid because humans were different. "We offer you a choice," Veltar announced. "Submit to galactic law, accept our guidance, live in peace under our protection, or..." The alien let the word hang in the air like a threat. "Or," Lisa asked. "Or we will remove the threat you represent to galactic order," Kethwer finished. Jake looked around the room at the 7 alien species. They all wore similar expressions, even though their faces were completely different. Boredom, like they had done this exact same thing many times before. "How long do we have to decide?" Lisa asked. 72 of your hours, Velta said. "This is more time than we usually allow. We are being generous because your species shows some interesting qualities." "What kind of interesting qualities?" Jake asked before he could stop himself. Lisa shot him a warning look, but Kethwer seemed willing to answer. "Your unpredictability. It could be useful with proper guidance. Humans might serve the galaxy well. Your tendency toward chaos could be channeled into productive activities." The way the alien said it made Jake's blood run cold. They did not want to destroy humanity. They wanted to break it. Turn humans into the same empty shells he had seen in those city pictures. "We will need to discuss this with our government," Lisa said carefully. "Of course," Veltar replied. "Return to your ship. Consider our generous offer. Remember that resistance is pointless. We have technology your species cannot imagine. We have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours." As Jake and Lisa were escorted back to their small Earth ship, Jake caught something in the alien guards' behavior. They moved in exact patterns. They spoke in the same tone. They even walked at the same speed. These aliens had not just conquered other species, Jake realized. They had conquered themselves. The shuttle bay doors closed behind them, and Jake finally allowed himself to breathe normally. Lisa collapsed into her chair and put her head in her hands. 72 hours, she whispered. "How do we tell 7 billion people they have 3 days before the end of everything?" Jake looked out the small window at Earth, blue and beautiful and chaotic and alive. "Maybe," he said slowly, "we do not tell them to give up. Maybe we tell them to get ready to fight." Dr. Helen Carter had not slept in 24 hours. Her eyes burned as she stared at the alien data files on her computer screen. The coffee in her cup had gone cold hours ago, but she did not notice. What she was reading made her stomach turn. The files contained records from 47 different worlds. Each planet had a similar story. First contact, initial resistance, quick surrender, and something that chilled Helen to the bone. Every conquered species had shown rapid technological growth for the first 50 years after joining the Galactic Council. New medicines, better transportation, improved communication systems. It looked like paradise, but then the growth stopped. Helen pulled up the records for the Kellner people. Before joining the galactic community, they had been inventors and explorers. They created new art forms, okay? They built cities that defied gravity. They wrote poetry that moved readers to tears after 100 years under galactic rule. The Kellner stopped creating anything new. Their last original invention was 150 years ago. Their most recent poem was written 200 years back. Now, they just maintained the technology the aliens gave them, the same pattern repeated on every world. The Dravik had been master engineers who built impossible structures. Now they followed galactic building codes exactly. The Ithron had been musicians whose songs could heal emotional pain. Now they played only approved galactic melodies. Helen rubbed her tired eyes and reached for her phone. She needed to call General Morrison right away. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ben Garcia crouched behind a large rock on the dark side of Earth's moon. His reconnaissance team had been watching the alien fleet for 12 hours. Through his telescope, he could see dozens of massive ships positioned around Earth like a net. "What do you see, Ben?" whispered Sergeant Roy Adams, the team's electronics expert. "Something strange," Ben replied. "Get their formation." Ben handed the telescope to Roy. The mechanic-turned-soldier studied the alien ships carefully. "They are all the same distance apart," Roy said after a few minutes. "Exactly the same. Like someone drew circles on a map and put one ship in each circle." "That is what I thought too," Ben said. "It looks perfect, but it is stupid," finished Private Nancy White, their communications specialist. Before the crisis, Nancy had been a high school teacher. "If I was planning to attack Earth, I would not spread my ships out like that. Too easy to avoid." Ben nodded. "It is like they are more worried about looking organized than being effective." The team continued, watching the alien fleet through the night. The ships never changed position. They never sent out scouts. They never tried to hide from Earth sensors. They just sat there, waiting, following whatever plan they had used 47 times before. Back on Earth, ordinary people were doing extraordinary things in a small garage in Ohio. Mechanic Danny Clark was taking apart every piece of alien technology he could find. The Galactic Council had given Earth some basic communication devices years ago as part of their generous introduction to galactic civilization. Danny had collected dozens of these devices from government surplus sales. "Look at this," Danny said to his neighbor, retired factory worker Jim Watson. "This alien radio uses the same basic principles as our radios, Kate, but see how they built it?" Jim leaned over Danny's shoulder. "Everything is in perfect squares. No wasted space. Very neat." "Too neat," Danny replied. "Our human radios are messy, but we can fix them with spare parts. We can modify them. We can make them better. But this alien radio, if one piece breaks, the whole thing stops working." Danny held up a human-made radio next to the alien device. The human radio was twice as big and looked like it had been put together by someone in a hurry. Wires stuck out at odd angles. The casing was scratched and dented. "Ours is ugly," Jim admitted. "But ours works better," Danny said. "And if it breaks, we can fix it with parts from a dozen different machines across the country." Similar discoveries were happening everywhere. Professor Claire Jenkins stood in front of her computer, broadcasting to anyone who would listen. Before the alien crisis, she had taught history at a small college. Now her online lectures were being watched by millions. Throughout human history, Claire said to her camera, "We have faced this same choice. Conform and find safety, or stay free and face danger. Every time we chose safety, we've lost something important." She pulled up pictures on her screen. The Romans offered peace to the tribes of Europe. Join the empire, follow Roman law, live Roman lives. Many tribes accepted. They became Roman citizens. They were safe and fed and protected. Claire clicked to the next slide, but they stopped being themselves. Their languages died. Their customs disappeared. Their children forgot the old ways. In 3 generations, those tribes vanished completely. The professor leaned closer to her camera. "The Galactic Council is offering us the same deal. Safety in exchange for our souls. Peace in exchange for our humanity." Comments started appearing on her live stream. People from around the world were sharing their own thoughts and fears. Claire read some of them aloud. Maria from Mexico says, "My grandmother always told me that a caged bird forgets how to fly. Are we about to cage ourselves?" Barbara from Canada asks, "If we all think the same thoughts and dream the same dreams, are we still human?" Beth from Australia writes, "My daughter is 7 years old. I want her to grow up in a world where she can be anything she wants to be, not just what some alien computer program decides is optimal." While Claire spoke to the world, Captain Lisa Brooks sat in a secure government facility, reading Dr. Carter's research. The diplomatic meeting with the aliens had been 36 hours ago. Earth had 36 hours left to make its decision. General Morrison, Lisa, said into her secure phone. You need to see Dr. Carter's files immediately. What did she find? Jake's voice crackled through the encrypted connection. The aliens are not trying to conquer us, Lisa replied. They are trying to save us from ourselves. Okay. And that might be worse than conquest. What do you mean? Lisa looked at the data on her screen. 47 dead civilizations, all perfectly preserved like insects in amber. They think they are helping, she said quietly. They honestly believe that eliminating human unpredictability will make us happier. They have convinced themselves that creativity is a disease that needs to be cured. Can we fight them? Lisa thought about the alien ships surrounding Earth. She thought about their advanced weapons and superior technology. She thought about humanity's chances in a conventional war. Maybe, she said, but not the way they expect us to fight. As Earth's deadline approached, something unexpected was happening. Instead of panicking, people were getting creative. Instead of giving up, they were getting curious. Instead of preparing to surrender, they were preparing to surprise their visitors with something the galaxy had not seen in a very long time. The power of people who refused to be told what was impossible. Dr. Helen Carter burst into the emergency meeting room without knocking. Her hair was messy and her clothes were wrinkled, but her eyes were bright with terrible understanding. They are not conquerors, she announced to the room full of military leaders and government officials. They are thieves. General Jake Morrison looked up from the battle plans spread across the table. What do you mean, Helen? Helen threw a thick folder onto the table. Papers scattered everywhere. I have been studying their pattern for 48 hours straight. Every species they absorbed follows the same timeline. First, they offer protection and technology. The new species feels grateful and accepts help. Then, slowly, they stop trying to solve their own problems. Colonel Steve Parker picked up one of the scattered papers. It showed a graph with a steep decline. What happened to the Kelnor people? Gone, Helen said flatly. Not dead, but gone. They used to build cities that floated in the clouds. Now they live in standard galactic housing units. They used to write stories that made people laugh and cry. Now they read approved galactic literature. Okay. They used to dream of visiting distant stars. Okay. Now they work in jobs assigned by galactic efficiency computers. The room fell silent. Outside the windows, they could see normal people going about their daily lives, not knowing that in 18 hours, everything might change forever. It gets worse, Helen continued. I found records showing that some species tried to resist this process. The Zethari people realized what was happening after 70 years. They tried to go back to their old ways of creating and inventing. What happened to them? Asked Captain Lisa Brooks. The Galactic Council declared them mentally unstable. They provided medical treatment to cure their unhealthy desire for chaos and unpredictability. Within 10 years, the Zedari became model galactic citizens. Helen sat down heavily in a chair. Do you understand? The aliens do not see themselves as evil. They think they are doctors treating a sick galaxy. And they think independence is a disease. While the leaders absorbed this terrible news, Marine Captain Alex Turner was having his own revelations. He and his team had managed to board one of the smaller alien ships using captured shuttlecraft. The alien vessel was pristine. Every surface was clean and smooth. Lights glowed softly from hidden sources. The air smelled like nothing at all. This place gives me the creeps, whispered Sergeant Bobby Lee, checking his weapon for the third time. Stay focused, Alex replied. We need to find their computer systems. The team moved through corridors that all looked exactly the same. Every door was identical. Every room was the same size. It was like walking through a building designed by machines for machines. They found the ship's main computer room after 20 minutes of searching. What they discovered There shocked them more than any weapon could have. There are only 3 aliens on this entire ship, reported Private Kate Morris, their computer specialist. 3 aliens controlling a vessel designed to carry 300 crew members. Where's everyone else? Abby asked. Kate studied the alien computer displays. The symbols made no sense to her, but the patterns were becoming clear. They do not need crew members. Everything is automated. The ship flies itself. The weapons aim themselves. The 3 aliens are just ... passengers. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Show me the weapon systems. Kate pulled up what appeared to be targeting displays. Look at this. Their weapons can only fire at predetermined coordinates. They cannot adapt to moving targets or unexpected tactics. Everything follows pre-programmed patterns. What happens if we do something they have not seen before? Alex asked. I think, Kate said slowly, they would not know how to respond. Back on Earth, ordinary people were proving Kate's theory without knowing it in a small town in Kansas. Librarian Beth Cooper was organizing something the aliens had never encountered. She called it a creativity festival. People brought homemade inventions, original art, new recipes, modified cars, and unusual solutions to everyday problems. Look at what Martha built, Beth said to the growing crowd in the town square. Martha was 73 years old and had been a seamstress her whole life. Martha proudly displayed a dress that changed colors based on the wearer's mood. I got tired of people asking me how I felt, she explained. Okay, so I made a dress that shows them. The dress was not very practical. The color changes were sometimes random. The fabric was stiff and uncomfortable, but it was completely original, and it made people smile. Now, look at what 12-year-old Tommy created. Beth continued. Tommy had built a robot out of old kitchen appliances. The robot could only walk in circles and made terrible grinding noises. It served no useful purpose. But Tommy had figured out how to make it dance to music. And the crowd laughed and clapped as the ridiculous machine spun around the square. Similar events were happening in cities around the world, not because anyone had ordered them, but because humans naturally wanted to create and share and try new things. In Tokyo, a group of engineers had modified their cars to run on cooking oil. In London, artists were painting murals that told the stories of their neighborhoods. In Sao Paulo, musicians were creating new instruments from recycled materials. None of these activities made logical sense. They were inefficient, unpredictable, and often failed completely. By galactic standards, they were wastes of time and resources, but they made people happy. Meanwhile, former NASA engineer Rita Stone was discovering something important about alien technology. She had been studying the communication devices the aliens had given Earth years earlier. Paul, she called to retired Admiral Paul Hayes, who was helping her in her laboratory. Come look at this. Paul walked over to Rita's workbench, where she had completely disassembled an alien communication device. This technology is amazing, Rita said. Can send messages across the galaxy instantly. It never breaks down. It uses almost no power. Sounds perfect, Paul replied. That is the problem, Rita said. It is too perfect. Look at these components. They are manufactured to exact specifications. Every device is identical down to the molecular level. Rita picked up a human-made radio from her shelf. Now, look at this piece of junk we built. It is bigger, heavier, uses more power, and breaks down every few months. Atia, why are you smiling? Paul asked. Because I can fix our radio with parts from a toaster. I can modify it to pick up new frequencies. I can combine it with other devices to create something completely different. But the alien device, if it breaks, it stays broken. If I need it to do something new, it cannot learn. Rita held up both devices. Their technology is like a beautiful statue, perfect, but frozen. Our technology is like a living plant. messy and unpredictable, but always growing. As Earth's deadline approached, the alien leadership was growing impatient. Supermarch Veltar called an emergency meeting on the flagship. Humans are taking too long to decide, he announced to the other council members. Perhaps we need to help them understand the seriousness of their situation. Kethfer consulted his data tablet. Shall we demonstrate our weapons capability on one of their cities? No, Veltar replied. That might make them desperate. Desperate species sometimes do unpredictable things. Instead, we will destroy some uninhabited targets. Show them our power without forcing them into chaos-driven responses. The alien fleet moved into position, the massive weapons charged up, ready to vaporize several asteroids in Earth's solar system. The demonstration would be visible from Earth's surface. A clear message about the futility of resistance. But as the aliens prepared their show of force, they had no idea that every human on Earth was watching. And instead of feeling fear, people were feeling something the aliens had not expected. Curiosity. How did those weapons work? Could humans build something similar? What would happen if human creativity met alien technology? The aliens were about to learn that there are some forces in the universe more dangerous than superior firepower. Forces like imagination, stubbornness, and a refusal to accept that anything is impossible. Earth's 18 hours were almost up. Instead of preparing to surrender, humanity was preparing to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. The alien weapons fired at exactly 12 o'clock Earth time. Brilliant beams of energy reached across space and turned 3 large asteroids into glowing dust. The light show was visible from Earth, even in daylight. The message was clear: submit, or face the same fate. Supermarch Veltar waited for the expected response. Previous species had sent immediate surrender messages after such demonstrations. The Kellner had taken 6 hours. The Dravik had taken 4. The longest any species had waited was 10 hours, but 12 hours passed. Can Earth sent no message. Instead, something unprecedented happened. Every major television network on Earth began broadcasting the same program. Veltar watched the transmission with growing confusion. Human children were attending school normally. Scientists were working in laboratories. Artists were creating paintings and sculptures. Engineers were building new machines. The entire planet seemed to be ignoring the alien demonstration completely. What are they doing? Coordinator Dex asked, his insect-like face showing rare emotion. I do not understand, Veltar replied. Are they in shock? Have they lost the ability to communicate? The answer came in a simple message broadcast on all Earth frequencies. We decline your offer. We choose to remain human. The alien leadership had never heard those words before. Captain Bobby Lee strapped himself into the cockpit of his fighter jet and tried to stay calm. The aircraft looked like a normal F-16, but Rita Stone and her team had worked miracles in just 3 days. Using principles learned from alien technology, they had enhanced the engines, improved the weapons, and added systems that should have been impossible. Phoenix Squadron, this is command, came the voice in Bobby's headset. Are you ready for the test flight? Ready as we will ever be, Bobby replied. Around him, 23 other pilots prepared for launch. They were about to find out if human creativity could match alien technology. The alien attack force was already moving toward Earth. Veltar had ordered a limited strike on major cities to encourage surrender. The alien commanders expected to face primitive missiles and simple aircraft. What they met instead challenged everything they thought they knew about combat. Bobby's modified fighter moved unlike anything in the alien tactical databases. Instead of flying in straight lines or predictable patterns, he spiraled and dove and climbed in ways that made no logical sense. His aircraft's enhanced systems allowed him to change direction instantly, hold impossible turns, and accelerate beyond what the specifications said was safe. "Command, this is Phoenix Leader," Bobby reported as alien fighters approached. Beginning engagement. The first alien fighter fired a beam that should have vaporized Bobby's aircraft. Instead, Bobby did something no pilot in galactic history had ever attempted. He flew his fighter straight down, then pulled up at the last second. Using Earth's gravity to add speed to his climb, the alien beam passed harmlessly through empty space. "What did that human just do?" the alien pilot asked his commander. "I do not know," came the reply. "It is not in our tactical database." Bobby's wingman, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, tried an even more unusual approach. She shut off her engines completely and let her fighter glide silently toward the alien formation. When the aliens tried to lock onto her, their sensors could not predict her path because she was not using any propulsion at the last moment. Sarah restarted her engines and fired at point-blank range. The alien ship exploded in a shower of sparks. "Impossible," whispered the alien fleet commander. "Their technology is inferior. Their ships are slower. Their weapons are weaker. How are they winning?" The answer was something the aliens had forgotten existed: improvisation on the ground. Similar scenes were playing out everywhere. When alien troops landed in major cities, they expected to face organized military resistance. Instead, they found something much more confusing in New York. A group of taxi drivers led by Maria Santos had turned their vehicles into mobile communication centers. They raced through the streets, staying ahead of alien patrols while coordinating civilian evacuations. The aliens tried to predict their routes, but the taxi drivers knew every shortcut, every alley, every way to disappear into the urban maze. In Chicago, construction worker Jim Watson had organized his crew to modify the city's infrastructure. They rerouted power lines, blocked streets in unexpected ways, and created passages through buildings that did not appear on any map. The aliens found themselves lost in a city that changed faster than they could adapt. In Los Angeles' computer, programmer Kate Morris had done something that made alien commanders question their own sensors. She had hacked into the city's electronic billboard system and was displaying false information. Alien troops would see signs pointing to evacuation centers that did not exist, or warnings about dangers that were not real. "Their resistance makes no sense," reported the alien ground commander. "They are not following any recognizable military doctrine. They use civilian vehicles as weapons. They turn office buildings into fortresses, coordinate through methods we cannot track." Meanwhile, in her makeshift laboratory, Dr. Helen Carter was making discoveries that would change everything. She had managed to capture an alien communication device during the battle and was studying its signal patterns. "General Morrison," she called excitedly into her radio. "I figured out how they coordinate their attacks." "Okay." Jake's voice crackled back through the static. "Tell me." "They use a central command system. Every alien ship and soldier receives orders from a single source. It makes them incredibly efficient. But, double quotes, but what? But if we can disrupt that signal, they will not know what to do. They have no experience making independent decisions." Helen had noticed something else. The alien communications were completely logical. They used mathematical formulas to determine the best response to every situation. But mathematics could not account for human illogic. "Jake, tell all our forces to do the most unreasonable thing they can think of. Be completely unpredictable. Make no sense at all." "Are you sure about this, Helen?" "Trust me, they're computers. Are trying to calculate our next move. If we make moves that have no logical basis, their system will crash trying to understand us." The message went out to every human defender on Earth. The results were immediate and spectacular. Pilots began flying in patterns that spelled out words in the sky. Soldiers started singing while they fought. Civilians organized dance parties in the middle of battle zones. Artists set up easels and began painting portraits of the alien invaders, the alien commanders. watched in horror as their perfectly organized battle plans fell apart. "What is happening?" Valtar demanded from his flagship. "Why are our forces retreating?" so reported his tactical officer. "The humans are not responding to our attacks logically, so our computers cannot predict their behavior. Our soldiers are requesting new orders every few minutes because the humans keep doing things that make no tactical sense." "Give me an example." "In Sector 7, our ground troops were advancing on a human position. The humans responded by setting up a concert. They are playing music and dancing. Our soldiers do not know whether to attack a military target or a cultural event." Valtar stared at the tactical display. Red dots representing alien forces were scattered across Earth's surface, but instead of advancing in organized formations, they were clustered in confused groups. In Sector 12, the tactical officer continued, "Our air forces were bombing a human military base. The humans painted a giant, smiley face on the roof and started waving at our pilots. Several of our pilots have requested psychological evaluation because they feel guilty about attacking people who are being friendly." "This is impossible," Velta said. "No species has ever responded to invasion with art and music and dancing." But the worst news was yet to come. "Super March," came a new voice on the communication channel. "This is Fleet Captain Zexstar. We have a problem." "What now?" "The humans have somehow infected our communication network with their chaos. Our battle computers are receiving data that does not make sense. It's reports of humans flying backwards, walking through walls, and turning into flowers. The computers are trying to process this information and creating battle plans based on impossible assumptions." Valtar felt something he had not experienced in centuries: confusion. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "I recommend we withdraw and reconsider our approach." "Withdraw?" Veltar could not believe what he was hearing. "We have never withdrawn from a primitive species." "Sir, with respect, I do not think this species is primitive. I think it is something we have never encountered before." As the alien forces pulled back from Earth's surface, Valtar tried to understand what had just happened. How could a species with inferior technology defeat superior firepower? The answer was something the Galactic Council had spent 1,000 years trying to eliminate from the galaxy, something they had forgotten could be a strength instead of a weakness: the power of not making sense. 3 days after the failed invasion, General Jake Morrison stood once again in the massive alien conference room. But this time, everything was different. The 7 alien leaders looked tired and confused. Their perfect posture was gone. Some of them kept looking at their data tablets as if the devices had betrayed them. Captain Lisa Brooks walked beside Jake, carrying a simple briefcase. Inside were demonstrations that would change how the galaxy thought about civilization itself. "Q requested this meeting," Super March Veltar said. His voice sounded different now, less confident. "We assume you wish to negotiate surrender terms." Jake almost smiled. "Actually, we want to show you something. First, we have a question." "What question?" asked Kethfer, his crystal body flickering with nervous light. "When was the last time any of your species created something completely new?" The aliens looked at each other. The silence stretched for a long minute. "We do not understand the question," Coordinator Dex finally replied. "We improve existing technology. We optimize systems. We enhance efficiency." "When did you last invent something that had never existed before?" Lisa asked. "Something that served no practical purpose except to make you happy." "Happiness is not a logical goal," Veltar said, but his voice lacked its usual certainty. Jake opened the briefcase and pulled out 2 identical problems printed on paper. "We prepared a little test. Here is an engineering challenge that has puzzled galactic scientists for 200 years. How to build a bridge across a canyon that is 5 miles wide, using only materials that weigh less than air." He handed one paper to Veltar and kept the other. We gave the same problem to one of your engineering teams and to a group of human children aged 12 to 16. Children. X's many eyes widened. Key gave a complex engineering problem to offspring who have not completed their education. Let us see what happened, Lisa said. She activated a holographic display showing the alien solution. It was beautiful and elegant. The bridge used advanced materials and anti-gravity generators. Every component was perfectly calculated. Structure would last for thousands of years with minimal maintenance. An excellent solution, Jake said honestly. Efficient, practical, and completely logical. Of course, Viltar replied, looking pleased. Now, here is what the human children created. The display changed to show something that made the aliens stare in shock. The human bridge was made of balloons. Thousands of helium balloons connected by ropes and platforms. It looked ridiculous and impossible. Cuthbert said immediately, balloons are not stable. Wind would destroy this structure in minutes. You are right, Jake agreed. It would not work, but look what else they designed. Display showed the complete human solution. The balloon bridge was only the beginning. The children had also designed balloon factories that could quickly replace damaged sections. They created weather prediction systems using the bridge itself as a giant weather sensor. They planned rest stops along the bridge where people could enjoy the view and have picnics in the clouds. But most importantly, Lisa continued, they solved 3 other problems that no one had asked them to solve. The display showed how the balloon bridge could be used to study atmospheric conditions, provide a habitat for flying animals, and serve as a communication relay for isolated communities. Your solution answers the question perfectly, Jake said. But their solution turns the question into an opportunity to make life better in ways no one had thought of before. Dr. Helen Carter stepped forward, carrying another device. May I demonstrate something else? Without waiting for permission, she activated what looked like a simple music player. Strange sounds filled the room. It was music, but unlike anything the aliens had heard before. This song was created by mixing human classical music with the mathematical frequencies your species use for efficient communication, Helen explained. It should not work. The mathematical patterns are too rigid for artistic expression. The artistic elements are too chaotic for mathematical precision. The music continued playing. It was beautiful and logical at the same time. It's emotional, but organized. Chaotic, but structured. How is this possible? Whispered one of the smaller alien delegates who had not spoken before. Because humans do not believe that logic and creativity are opposites, Helen replied. We think they work better together. Captain Alex Turner stepped up next. In his hands was a device that looked like alien technology, but behaved completely differently. We studied your communication equipment, he said. It's incredibly advanced. But we noticed something interesting. Alex activated the device. Instead of the normal alien interface, it displayed something that made the alien leaders lean forward in surprise. We modified it to learn from its users, Alex explained. Your original device always worked the same way. It's perfect, but unchanging. Our version adapts. It gets better at helping each person based on how they use it. The device demonstrated by changing its display as Alex used it. After a few minutes, it was showing information in ways that matched Alex's specific needs and preferences. More importantly, Alex continued, it can combine with other devices to create new capabilities that were never programmed into it. Rito Stone joined the demonstration carrying what appeared to be a standard alien manufacturing device. Ray applied the same principle to your fabrication technology. She placed the device on the table and activated it. Instead of creating identical standard objects, it began producing items that were similar but unique. Each one had small variations, like leaves on a tree. Your version makes perfect copies, Rita explained. Our version makes perfect individuals. The alien leaders watched in fascination as the device created a series of communication tools. Each one worked perfectly, but each one was slightly different in appearance and function. But why? Dex asked. Standardization is more efficient. Because, said a new voice, efficiency is not the only thing that matters. Everyone turned to see Professor Claire Jenkins entering the room. She had not been invited to the demonstration, but somehow she had found a way to attend. I have been studying your civilization for the past week, Claire announced. You have achieved perfect order. No war, no conflict, no waste, no inefficiency. Exactly, Veltar said. Peace and stability. But also, no growth, Claire replied. No discovery, no surprise, no joy. She pulled out her own device, a simple tablet computer. Want to show you something from our history, the tablet displayed. Images of human civilizations throughout time. Ancient cave paintings, medieval cathedrals, Renaissance art, modern skyscrapers, space telescopes. Every one of these achievements came from someone who refused to accept that things had to stay the same, Claire explained. Someone who saw a problem and thought, what if we tried something completely different? She clicked to show images of the alien worlds they had conquered. Clean, orderly, peaceful cities where nothing ever changed. Your method creates perfect societies, Claire continued. But perfect societies cannot improve. Okay, they can only maintain what they already have. Improvement is not always necessary, Kethver argued, but his voice was uncertain. Really? Jake asked. Then why did you come to Earth? Your way is perfect. Why do you need to add more worlds to your empire? The question hung in the air like a challenge. We came to bring peace, Veltar said, but the words sounded hollow. No, Lisa said gently. You came because your civilization stopped growing centuries ago. You have been adding new worlds to your empire because you hoped they would bring something new, but instead, you turned them into copies of what you already had. Jake stepped forward. We have a different proposal. What proposal? Veltar asked. Keep your empire. Keep your peace. Keep your order. But let Earth remain independent. Let us stay chaotic and unpredictable and inefficient. Why would we agree to this? Jake smiled. Because we will share our chaos with you. I do not understand. Every time we invent something new, we will give it to you, right? Every time we solve a problem in an unexpected way, we will teach you our method. Every time we create something beautiful and useless, we will send you a copy. Lisa opened her briefcase again and pulled out more devices. We have already started. These are gifts for your people. She handed each alien leader a small object. It looked like toys, but when activated, they created tiny light shows that served no purpose except to be pretty. What did these do? Dex asked, staring at the dancing lights. Nothing, Lisa replied. They exist only to make you smile. But what is their function? Their function is to have no function. For the first time in the meeting, Jake saw something he had never expected to see on an alien face. Kethper was smiling. The crystal being's entire body began to glow with soft, warm light as he watched the tiny light show in his hands. I do not understand why, Kethper said slowly, but this device makes me feel ... better. That is the point, Jake replied. Veltar looked around the room at his fellow council members. They were all staring at their small gifts with expressions of wonder and confusion. This is most irregular, Veltar said, but he was also smiling as he spoke. Yes, Jake agreed. That is what makes it wonderful. The meeting ended with something unprecedented in galactic history. The Galactic Council agreed to leave Earth alone, not because they were forced to, but because they were curious about what humans might create next. As the alien fleet prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Veltar sent one final message to the planet below. "We do not understand your species," the message said, "but we would like to learn." Okay. Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the space station, watching the alien ships disappear into the distance. Earth had won not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through something much more powerful: the courage to be imperfect, the wisdom to stay curious, the strength to keep growing. Humanity had shown the galaxy that there was something more valuable than peace and order: the infinite potential of minds that refused to stop dreaming.